Hi, it's Bumble. Welcome back to my channel. So, the reason I don't have the channel name up on the screen is I'm recording off the computer where it's like the same room where I play the Switch games and stuff, where I don't use my background anyway. Normally, I don't record my movie and TV show reviews in here. So yeah, that's why I just use whatever image I still had, so it was just the same colored background. But at least my mouse is on here, so it's something. So Alien Episode 5, this one, I meant to finish it like sooner in the day. I watched like half of it in the morning and then half of it right now at like almost 6 p.m. because I was doing stuff in between. But it's one of those, like, most of these episodes are like multiple characters, POVs, and like a bunch of different things going on and whatever. And this one is just like focused on really one location, and that's about it. This one is easily my favorite. It is a Morrow episode, and it's also a flashback episode that's basically what happened to the ship with all the creatures in it and why did it crash. Because we've seen a little bit of flashbacks of it before, but this entire episode is like, before any of the creatures end up escaping containment, we actually get to see the whole crew killed off, and then it leads to the point where Morrow is in the escape pod. We do actually get to see that scene again, but it's a little bit different. But yeah, this one was my favorite. I don't know if it's like biased though, because like Morrow is so far one of my favorite characters to watch. And since it's like a flashback episode about the crew members and stuff, it doesn't have any of like the hybrids or the prodigy people or anything. And it also really just, it's the closest I've felt to anything of like, if you were to reboot the original Alien movie, what would it be like? I mean, I know Romulus is supposed to be that way too, but with this one, it's like, oh my gosh, the ship design and stuff is like identical pretty much. It's like the same type of crew of like delivering cargo, and there's a trader and all that, all that stuff. So I don't know if it's like, because it's so similar to the original Alien, that's why I particularly enjoyed this episode, or maybe it's just since it feels more familiar compared to the stuff going on with the other episodes. Not that I need like everything in this series to be like the original Alien or anything, because like, for example, Prometheus and Covenant are like super far away from that, and I really enjoyed those. It just depends. I don't know. But yeah, this was my favorite episode. It was really fun to watch. We got to see more stuff with the creatures. I don't remember if we've seen all of them yet, because I know in like the present day stuff, like non-flashback things, there's we've seen the eyeball quite a bit, we've seen the xenomorph, there's that like plant thing. This one has the eyeball and the xenomorph, but it also has, I think, a new one, which is these like ticks, like the bugs, which I thought, oh, that's kind of weird, but they end up doing some like crazy stuff. Yeah, so I'm gonna go in order. It was nice of my notes. It was nice to see more of the crew members and stuff. Like in the beginning of the series, I thought like, okay, none of these people are gonna matter when it was originally showing like the ship before it crashed and stuff, because it's like all the marketing material is about the hybrid characters and the boy genius guy and stuff, and they all kind of are the main focus, except like Morrow being the only survivor and whatever. So it was kind of nice to see more of that crew. Like they were never anyone I was emotionally attached to, but it's still kind of nice to see. Is like, if it was like any other Alien movie, these guys would all be like the main characters and stuff. And I think it's cool that like they have a cyborg that's their security officer. There's like an android character as well, but he doesn't really have a big part. I couldn't tell if he was malicious or not either, because he does get killed by a xenomorph. He doesn't really end up doing a lot, but his big moment is later on in the episode. I'm like jumping ahead a bit, where he like very smugly is telling Morrow like, oh, hey, I figured out what's going on or whatever, and it's he's basically kind of giving the hint of how to find the traitor and everything. So it's like, Anyway, the crew members are interesting. There's this engineer's assistant who looks like he's the youngest member of the crew. He was kind of funny, but also had like middle school level of humor. Where there's this lady who ends up becoming the captain after their official captain is killed or whatever, and she's giving the speech and mentioning like, oh, it's our duty to do whatever, and he like laughs at the word duty because it's silly and that type of stuff. But there was one funny part with this character where he's with, actually no, it's not really funny, it's just like, oh, that's kind of creepy and weird. He tells Morrow about two of the crew members that are having sex, and he was watching them and says something like, oh, the girl topping is hot or whatever. I don't know. I guess like the delivery of it as I was watching was kind of funny, but now I'm thinking about what the actual stuff, what the dialogue was, and I'm like, oh, no, this isn't funny. So this guy ends up dying first. He ends up dying from these ticks that end up eating his organs and stuff. It's kind of nasty. Because this takes place, I think, like, two of the crew members are killed and the creatures... No, it's that everyone's, like, chatting or whatever. Two of the crew members die, and it kind of, like, continues from there. I didn't write a lot about the beginning, but, there's, like, this person who's promoted to captain, and then Morrow ends up taking charge at the end, which is good but also bad in that it's like he's very like on top of things and stuff. He has his shit together. He doesn't panic about any of the creatures or whatever, and meanwhile the current captain is like spiraling out, but at the same time he does end up literally getting her killed at the end and solely shifts focus of like, okay, I'm not going to save anyone, the creatures are the only thing that matter after a certain point. So I guess it depends. But yeah, the crew of the ship are like surprisingly chill about some of the team being dead and the creatures escaping and whatever. Like, I thought they'd be like full on panicking or something. It's just nice. I feel like it depends on the mood, the movie or the medium or whatever, of like if the crew like kind of keeps their shit together or freaking out of like, what are these creatures, because like this is a prequel, so they don't know what the creatures do. I mean, they're collecting them and stuff and taking them back to Earth or whatever, but they don't know how these things attack, or they're like studying them as they're moving along, and their journey's 65 years. I can't believe I was forgetting about that. Because some of the crew talks about their family, and Morrow's whole thing, where we see it's that Weyland Yutani was paying for his daughter's schooling, and then they show what happens with his daughter, that apparently he gets a letter saying she died when she was 19 in a house fire while he was gone or something. But it's like a really old letter, so who knows how old it actually is. But the house fire thing feels so random. I don't know if it's like a deliberate thing or it just happened or whatever, because his whole thing is like his daughter is dead and he misses her and only has like memories of like her childhood and stuff, not being able to see her grow up. And then he ends up in this depressive state of like, everything I love is gone. I have to bring in these creatures no matter what. It's like his life's purpose now. And that's like a big thing with this episode, including with the ending. I find it kind of interesting. I mean, I don't think it justifies all of Morrow's actions about like manipulating some of the hybrids into doing stuff for him and leaving the captain to die. That's okay, no, that's at the end of my notes, actually, the end of the episode. I want to talk about that scene. Let's see, what else? Some of my notes, I don't press like the enter button or anything, so it's all just like a giant block of text, so sometimes it like takes me a minute. What else? But yeah, the ship design, is still really wild for me to see. I don't remember seeing, because I'm always trying to keep an eye out for it. Maybe I missed it. In like every Alien movie, there's that little like waiting bird or whatever, the one that like constantly dips his head and you can see it everywhere. I assumed it would just be on this ship, but I don't remember seeing it. But yeah, the design is really cool. They have I'm really glad they tried to have the like 70s looking computers from the original Alien stuff, because even some of the other prequels, like with Prometheus and Covenant, it was really weird for me because I mean, I don't know where this, I think this one is supposed to take place like 2 years before Alien, but like Prometheus and Covenant I think are like supposed to be way before, where they had like futuristic looking computers, and I'm like, what? You know, it's kind of weird. What else? I'm kind of curious. There's like an android, I don't remember his name, that's part of their crew. Like I mentioned, he ends up dying pretty early. There's this whole thing where he ends up like stalking or like watching this one female crew member in a pod, and it's kind of creepy, and they keep mentioning it throughout the episode, and I thought it was going to be like something significant or whatever, but no. And then the episode eventually, like once the creatures end up getting out, at first it's like, okay, there's an unknown person that's trying to sabotage. Who is it? Did someone sneak on board? And it's basically like Morrow playing detective to try to find them. And we see how smart the creatures are. I think the eyeball creature she's easily my favorite. I think they refer to her as a she, if I remember right. Because, and it makes me wonder about her, because there's this part where she's in a container, and there's the tick bugs or whatever are in another container. They're in the same room on the same desk and everything, and there's a crew member who's talking and looking at the ticks, and they end up leaving. They figure out how to leave their container, I think because they watch her open a water bottle, and they know. And the eyeball, she like uses her little tentacle things or whatever and is tapping the glass. At first I wasn't sure if she was trying to be helpful, or if it was, at first I thought she was trying to provide a distraction to the crew member so the crew member wouldn't see the ticks. They go inside of the water bottle and they contaminate the water, and things escalate from there. But now I'm thinking like, oh, was she trying to help and was trying to give them, that person, like a, hey, this other creature's escaping. I'm like, who is your allegiance to? It's like the one time the eyeball has been helpful, and then like, or one of the times, and then any other time it's trying to burrow her way into whatever's face, whether it's a person or an animal or whatever, because I think in the present day she's still inside of the sheep or something, which is weird for me to think about, because I swear I saw that as like a Funko Pop. It was specifically like eyeball inside of the sheep, and I'm like, how is this going to be important in the future? But the eyeball creature's fun because it's like this little tentacle thingy, and it like changes its pupils and stuff. Yeah, and then yeah, the ticks end up getting in the water, and then someone drinks it. I think the engineer's assistant, and there's like a really weird scene where they're trying to do surgery on the guy. They have him in like the med bay or something, and the ticks, they apparently, if they get stabbed, they release this, they not only ate the guy's insides, but they're like trying to or whatever. They end up spewing a gas, and the gas kills you, and it causes you to bleed out of your eyeballs or whatever. And I can never take that action seriously, of like bleeding out of your eyes, because I will forever associate that with creepypastas, because it's just, I mean, I'm sure that's a thing that happens in real life, and it's probably serious, and like here it's supposed to be scary, of like the gas affected them and they're bleeding out of their eyes. That should be a horror thing, but like that's like ruined for me. But yeah, the ticks, they're dangerous. And then I think if I remember correctly, there's like a part where like the lights start going off and whatever. And the ticks, I believe, burrow their way into a dead crew member. And I thought they were gonna like puppeteer this guy or something, but they just stay there and we don't see them again. And I don't think we've seen them in like the other episodes either. So I don't know if the hybrids are gonna have to like come back to that ship, and the ticks are going to escape that way. Will we see them again? Because they are a threat, but it only seems like they are if they're like attacked or they get inside of somebody, and it's not like the xenomorph where it's like running around killing people, or like the eyeball like, you know, gets all in your face and tries to it like she puppeteers people and stuff, which is, it leads to a really cool scene at the end there. Okay, yeah, I get to talk about it. I don't have a lot of notes, which is why this is only like 15 minutes and I'm getting like way too excited. Okay, my favorite part of this episode, and probably my favorite part of the series so far, and it isn't even anything that's like new, we've seen this before, but like the way it's shot here and everything and the angles just make it so much cooler. There's this part where the captain, she's like watching the med bay or something, and there's a xenomorph and it comes behind her, and I think she knows she's like probably going to die because she spreads this like dust or whatever like on herself or where she's standing, and then the xenomorph shows up. And the thing that's significant with like it's like this brown dust or whatever is she ended up putting it in an earlier scene on like a pod of this guy that she liked that was face hugged. So I assumed it was supposed to be some kind of like, oh, you died or you're going to die and we're going to acknowledge that with this like dust or whatever. And I thought like, oh shit, she knows she's probably going to die. But I don't know if she knew the xenomorph was coming, because it shows up, it's right behind her, it's like making its noises or whatever, and it ends up putting a tail around her, and she looks so freaked out and she's facing away from it. And I thought, okay, this thing's gonna kill her and whatever, but it doesn't, which I'm confused about, because usually it like grabs someone or it impales you or whatever, because she even has time to turn around. She looks at the freaking thing, and I was almost disappointed it didn't kill her, but because that felt out of like character for the xenomorph anyway. But then the I don't remember if it like lets her go or whatever, because she doesn't try to attack it or anything. She's like, it's like a quick draw thing where she's like gonna pull her gun, and the xenomorph's going to like grab her or something. I think that's when it wraps her around with a tail or whatever, or like to wrap her tighter or something, and it ends up, I think, knocking her to the ground with its tail. Like it hits her feet, and then she gets up and she actually gets to run away. And the chase scene is really cool. Watching the xenomorph, I don't know, I'm assuming it's like CGI or a puppet or something. I don't know. I mean, they do still have it where like monsters and like creatures and things are played by people, which I always think is really cool. Where it leads to like weird movements and stuff. I haven't looked it up for the xenomorph in the series, because sometimes when it moves around, I'm like, I do wonder if there's like a person in there, because its movements feel kind of weird sometimes. I don't know. The xenomorph, it's usually the big hype thing for me with this series. I think it is for everyone, but like I feel like in this TV series, sometimes it's smart and it does its thing, and sometimes I feel like it's dumb just to like keep the plot going, or like it's too easy to kill or whatever. Like I still can't believe Wendy killed one of those like immediately, like robot body or not. That seemed like a bit, it was cool, we didn't get to see it, but that seemed a bit too easy. Anyway, so it ends up chasing the captain, and it was really cool because we get to see the xenomorph's POV, and the way it's shot is really cool because it's like these darkened kind of hallways or whatever, and it's like it's chasing really fast, and the camera's even kind of angling a bit to match like the shape of the corridors and stuff, or yeah, like the hallways and whatever. It was really cool. It's like a short little bit, but it was really cool. It just felt really tense. Like when I think about the chase scenes from like the Xenomorph POV, I don't remember if it's in like multiple movies, but I specifically remember it from the third one where there was someone being chased in the prison, and it was really cool. But like here, it just looks, the movement of everything looks more natural, and just felt more tense. But the captain ends up getting away, and she seals up a door, and there's this old guy who's like the engineer in there, and the eyeball ends up inside the engineer, and it gets like pretty crazy from there. Like the door is supposedly sealed, and then Moro just shows up and lifts the thing one-handed, which makes me wonder, like, was it sealed at all? I mean, she just told the engineer guy like, hey, help me finish sealing this, but then again, Moro's like a cyborg with like a morphing metal hand or whatever, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But it was kind of funny. He just lifts it up like it's fucking nothing. It's a metal door. Come on. But I get it. And then the eyeball, she's in the engineer guy, and the xenomorph is coming because the xenomorph is there too. And she makes the engineer guy jump onto the xenomorph, like full on attacks it and everything, and is like on top of its back, and then freaking bites into it. And then I think the xenomorph notices like, oh, there's like a weird creature here or whatever, and the eyeball like actually tries to take over the xenomorph, and it's such a weird thing because it's like freaking out. It ends up leaving to another part of another room or something, and Moro during that time, it goes into the scene where he's in the room with Mother, and we've seen it before, at least from his POV, where the female crew member, the captain, she's banging on the door, and Moro doesn't let her in, and then she gets killed off screen or something. Originally, I think it was supposed to be comedic or something, or at least I laughed at it. I don't know if you're supposed to. Of just him like leaving someone behind like that, because it wasn't in like a dramatic way or anything. It was almost kind of humorous. But then here it's worse because we get to see the captain's perspective, and the thing is, she has enough time to get in there. Moro could have left her in because the xenomorph ends up stumbling away. It's attacked by the eyeball for like a good amount of time, and Moro hadn't sealed the door or anything at that point, so he could have just let her in because she's banging on the door or whatever. It's not like some of the other stuff, like when I think of Romulus, where it's like someone's banging and there's not enough time and the person is left to die, and I'm like, okay, that's like a dick move, but it's fair. It lets everyone live. Here, no. She had plenty of time to get in. He does not let her in. He just leaves her out there to die. And then we get to actually see her attack this time. Like, we even see the same shot of, like, the camera in front of Moro and the captain banging on the glass or whatever, and then he gets up and he seals it and he continues doing his thing on Mother or something. And then it cuts back to the captain, and the xenomorph lunges at her, and it brutally kills her, and it's just like, damn, I felt bad for her. And then it continues from there of Moro, he's humming the song We'll Meet Again and telling Mother that, like, yep, everyone's dead and stuff, and then he ends up going inside of the escape pod thing, and the xenomorph is there, and it's like desperately crawling, and it can't get to him or anything. But then it feels it's supposed to be like more sad or whatever, because in the actual song We'll Meet Again is playing, and we see Moro remembering about his daughter. There's like this one scene we see of them together where they're on a beach or something. I don't remember what their dialogue is, but it's supposed to be like a sad thing and stuff. I don't know. I didn't feel sad because I feel like we still didn't really know his daughter, and I mean, yeah, that does suck that he didn't get to see her grow up and stuff, but I mean, the other crew members probably lost family too in the amount of time that, I mean, 65 years is crazy. Like, almost all of them are humans and stuff. Like, the engineer guy, he did say something that was kind of confusing where he said like, oh, my wife looked like she was 31 when she's gone, now she looks like she's old enough to be my grandmother or something. And at first I thought like, oh, does that mean, she aged in that amount of time and you're gonna come back and she's gonna be old? But the thing is, the engineer guy is old, and I assumed in cryo sleep you don't age or anything. So I don't know if that was just like a joke about his wife or that was supposed to be like a serious thing. Unless I'm misunderstanding the stuff with Moro, because I remember pausing to read the note and it said that his daughter died in a house fire. I don't know if that was supposed to be something that's like his fault and that's why he feels bad or whatever. I don't know, but he misses her and stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And he ends up escaping and forms the company. Everyone's dead. We see him with a meeting with Yutani for a bit, where he's like, oh, we're gonna have to do things my way or something, and then it's supposed to continue from there. Oh my gosh, I forgot the big thing with this episode. I needed to. The big plot thing, you literally find out the reason why the ship actually crashed. It wasn't just like the creatures escaping and whatever. It's because I mentioned there's someone sabotaging. It's the ship engineer, if I remember right. Hold on. That's like the most important thing, and I like skipped over that in my notes. My bad. Okay, so the chief engineer, he betrays everybody, and he wants Boy Cavalier to turn him into a robot. You see like a Zoom meeting type thing from them that Moro ends up watching. It's like old footage in exchange for crashing the ship and then giving him the creatures, which now I feel like that makes a lot of things make more sense, because I thought like the ship just randomly crashing because it's specifically going to crash into Earth was kind of weird, and it's like the one that happens to have all these like alien creatures on it, not just like the xenomorph or whatever. And it's a Weyland-Yutani ship anyway, so it's supposed to go to them and the creatures and stuff, but because it crashed in the area the Prodigy controls or whatever, they get to look inside of the ship and that's why the boy genius wants the creatures so bad, and Miss Yutani is trying to get it back and stuff and have Moro track it down. So it's kind of like a big game of like cat and mouse between which company is gonna get all of these creatures. So it feels less like it's alien Earth, like the xenomorphs are invading Earth, and more of like we're gonna play politics with this crash ship and the aliens are gonna be like confined there. They're not really on Earth. They're just like in this one ship, and whenever they go to the ship it feels like alien, but then when they're not in the ship it's like I don't know. But yeah, that's all my notes for this one. This episode was really cool. I loved it. It's the closest of anything that's felt like the original Alien. I'm not saying like, oh, that one's like the best or my favorite or anything. But it's nice. It feels good. And it's in a way where it doesn't. Okay, one of my things with Romulus, because that one also feels a lot like the original Alien, was that it felt too focused on like nostalgia and stuff of like all of these like cool lines and stuff that we've said before. But this series, I like that it's trying to do something different with the whole, even though I don't really like any of the hybrid characters, except for Nibs. Maybe Nibs is kind of cool, and I like two of the other kids, the one that's being manipulated by Moro and his friend, I think his name's Smee. Anyway, yeah, I don't really care for the hybrids, and I want to punch Boy Cavalier in the face, and I'm still curious about the white-haired android guy. So most of the characters I don't really like in this, but it's trying to do something different of having main characters that are humans in android bodies, which I mean I don't think the series has done yet, at least not in the movies. I've never really looked into like the comics or books and stuff. I think that's a cool concept. I think it still works because it's like you have the human perspective and stuff, but they're like superheroes basically, and they get to fight xenomorphs, but like they're children but also not children, so they just come off as like super creepy. And then there's all this political stuff going in the background. It's not just like Weyland-Yutani, the company and stuff, but then it still feels like Alien when they're like hunting for xenomorphs and whatever. But yeah, this episode was fun. It was cool. I'll be honest, sometimes I do kind of go on my phone because these episodes are like an hour and I'm like, okay, I don't care about some of the stuff with the hybrids, but this one, it's like I was locked in. But yeah, that the scene, it just felt tense, of like the scene where they're trying to get the ticks out of the guy and do surgery, and when the xenomorphs chasing the captain and stuff. And I think one of my favorite characters is actually the eyeball creature. I want to know what her deal is of being inside of that sheep, besides the fact that she was forced to go inside the sheep, and why I believe she was helping one of the crew members, trying to give a heads up of like, hey, this tick thing is doing stuff, it's escape containment, you know. All right, that's it for me with this one, is episode 5. Also, the title being in space no one, and then ... being, you know, the part of the tagline for Alien of like, in space no one can hear you scream. That was nice. I think the next episode's in like a couple of days. I usually end, I mean, I'm gonna be late with all these reviews because I'm posting them like a month or so in advance, and even though I'm watching these literally as they're going up on Hulu, even if I'm like a day or two late. So it's like I'm on time, but the reviews aren't on time. But I feel like that works because then you guys will get to watch these all at once and stuff. And you'll hear how my opinions change and whatever. Alright, so that's it for this. The next is episode 6. I don't remember how many episodes of this there's supposed to be. I'm assuming it's like 8 or 10 or whatever, because that's usually how these series go when they're like an hour long each. But yeah, I hope we get more episodes like this where it's like different characters, like an episode that focuses on like a specific character and what their deal is. But it's nice to finally see the crash and like who caused it and all that. That was cool. All right, bye.